Hey everyone. So I want to share with you guys my story of how I went from a multiple sclerosis diagnosis to Lyme disease. And I really want to share my story because I hope it helps somebody out there. When I first got diagnosed with multiple sclerosis, I kept looking for answers online and I kept coming across people sharing their stories on YouTube and articles about how they were diagnosed with some autoimmune disease, and then further research led them to the conclusion that they have Lyme disease. And that really helped me find answers, I guess. And I guess I'm just doing my part here, adding to the collection, you can say, the the club that nobody wants to be in. Trust me, you don't want to be in this club. My story starts back in 2016, October. I was a full-time student at the time, um, and in perfect health, perf like amazing shape. I had just won a bikini contest, so that ought to give you a good indicator. Yeah, I was going to the gym like 5 days a week, eating super healthy, like almost vegetarian, organic. Um, yeah, life was good, and out of nowhere, I got just slammed with these crazy symptoms. I still remember it was just, I was on my way to school, and all of a sudden, I felt like I was gonna have a heart attack. Best way I can explain it. The left side of my body started to go numb. I was having chest pain, heart, just arrhythmia. I could feel my heart rate skipping beats. It was just super scary. And so I slept it off. I was like, okay, I don't know, I'm stressed out or something. So I went home and I was like that for a week until finally I just couldn't ignore the symptoms anymore. I was like, something's going on. So I went to the emergency room and the doctor there told me nothing was wrong. He said, all your tests came back fine. Your heart's great. It's in amazing shape. You're in perfect health. I don't know what this is. I mean, he was honest. He's like, I don't know what this is. I think it might just be stress. So here's some pain medication. Take it for a month, and it'll just go away. So I did. I took the medication for a month, finished the semester, and eventually my symptoms they went away. I was like, okay, that was just a weird chapter in my life. Like that is so strange. I have no idea how to explain it. But the only symptom that stayed was the left side of my face was still numb, tingling. Just it will come and go. It was driving me nuts, and yeah, it was awful. But I didn't do anything about it because of the holidays. Finished the semester. I thought it was a pinched nerve. I was like, I'll deal with it next year. So January 2016. Oh yeah, this was last year, 2015. This year. So January 2016, I decide to finally, okay, let's go to the doctor again. And I was referred right away to a neurologist. I was like, oh, great, specialist. This sucks. This is gonna suck. I already knew it. I see the neurologist, and at this point, I was having more symptoms. I was having blurry vision, pain in my left eye, just constantly rubbing. It was just a annoying pain. I couldn't concentrate. I was having very bad mood swings. I just felt off. And so I tell the neurologist all this, and she says, well, let me get a brain MRI and also an MRI of your neck because I was having pain in the back of my neck. She's like, okay, let's do that. And, I'll give you a call if anything weird comes up, but I'm sure you'll be fine. And within less than a week of getting the brain MRI, I get a call. She's like, I need to see you ASAP. I'm like, oh, great. I know something bad's gonna happen. I knew it. So I see the neurologist, and she tells me, she's like, I suspect you have MS. Your brain MRI came back abnormal. Um, you have multiple lesions in your brain, but the good news is it's just started. They're very small, minimal, and yeah. So that was a complete shock. Like my whole world just it just shattered. I was like, what? Like, so confused. Like, what do you mean multiple sclerosis? I don't even know what that is. Um, so she handed me a book, told me to read it. She put me on antidepressants, anti-anxiety medication, muscle relaxers, pain medication, and told me that I was going to be okay, that she just wanted a spinal tap to confirm her results, and then we can order my MS medication and life was going to be good, you know. Um, yeah, that was my future. So, yeah, I was completely shocked. Nobody in my family has any health issues at all. Oh, hair's bothering me. We're all pretty in good shape. So I went home and started taking the medication because at this point I started having extreme panic attacks, daily panic attacks. Just it was awful. I had to drop out of school at this point. I couldn't keep up. It was my last semester of school, and I was having trouble reading, understanding material. I was in a very intense courses. I was being trained as a research scientist, and I just couldn't. I couldn't read the scientific papers. I couldn't do anything. It was awful, and I was just devastated that this was my life now. So anyway, she got the spinal tap. The results came back positive. There was it was an abnormal spinal tap, so she confirmed my diagnosis and went ahead and ordered the MS medication, which okay, if y'all are unaware of how expensive MS medication is, I was completely shocked. It's $5,000 retail price monthly for that medication. When I got that number, I'm like, what? Like, you're joking. But they don't tell you that number. Like, it was like pulling teeth trying to get them to tell me the cost. Because the whole time I would just get answers like, oh, don't worry, your insurance will pay for it. Or, oh, we have amazing programs and, like financial programs to help you pay for this medication. But yeah, so $5,000 a month for this MS medication that doesn't cure you. It just helps the symptoms not progress. So supposedly, I don't know. I never took it. But so yeah, anyways, that was me, pretty drugged up on all these medications with my MS diagnosis, and it just didn't make sense. I wasn't gonna swallow that pill. I started doing research. I was like, something else has to be going on. I feel way too sick. It's happened way too quickly. I'm not buying into this whole like autoimmune happened for no reason. There has to be a reason behind it. Like that's what was drilled to me in school. As a research scientist, things don't happen just out of nowhere. There's always a reason for something. A chain of events. So I put on my little, nerd hat, I guess you can say, and started researching the subject, like multiple sclerosis. I read that book she gave me in a day. Whenever my symptoms were pretty calm, and I kept coming across Lyme disease. It was like Lyme disease, blah, blah, multiple sclerosis, Lyme disease. I was like, what the? And then looking at the Lyme disease symptoms they're exactly the same as multiple sclerosis. You can't deny it. It was just insane. But right away I ruled it out because I did not have a bullseye rash that I remember, and I've never seen a tick in my life. I was like, I've never had those two like main indicators. And then so I ruled it out. Whatever. And then I came across the story of this woman who was diagnosed with MS for 3 years, and she decided to get tested for Lyme disease, and it came back positive. So I was like, okay, that just, sparked this idea in my head. I was like, if that happened to her, I don't care if the odds are 1 in a billion, that could easily happen to me. I mean, doctors are wrong all the time. I have dogs. I'm very outdoorsy. Maybe I got bit and I just didn't see it. So, yeah, I ran with that idea and I got super excited. I was like, I gotta do this. I have to get tested. It's gonna bug me. Like, if I don't get tested and rule it out, that's gonna be the worst thing if I find out later I have Lyme disease, and I could have been cured this whole time. and I was living with MS. Like, that would have been horrible. So I go to my neurologist and I'm super excited. I'm like pumped. I'm like, yes, like we're gonna get tested, you know, life's gonna be great again. As soon as I mentioned the word Lyme, I mean, I wish I could have recorded her face. Her face went like, mer. You would have saw her like cussed her out or something. She just shook her head, completely cut me off, and was like, when you first came in, I suspected MS. And all my tests have confirmed it. You're positive for MS. I'm like, what? Like, say what? Come again? First of all, MS, there is no positive test for MS. It's based off, it's a clinical diagnosis, you know, there is no test that's going to be like, you're 100% MS. I knew that off the bat, so I knew she was completely wrong. And, yeah, she didn't even want to hear me out or anything. So it was really just crazy, you know, how she was willing to just be okay with keeping me on medication, all this medication, and have all these symptoms without even bothering to rule out, you know, Lyme disease. I was just completely shocked. I mean, at this point, I'm like on six, you know, she has me on 6 different medications, and I was having extreme fatigue, you know, my old life was gone. I didn't want to live sick the rest of my life. Like, there was no way, no way. I was like 26, you know, just starting life. Like, I was way too young. So anyways, I was like, all right, well, have a good day. Bye. You know, thanks for nothing, I guess. So I leave her office. I quit all the drugs cold turkey. I'm like, I'm not doing this anymore. And I go on a hunt to find another doctor. And easier said than done. I'm in Texas, and trying to find a doctor for Lyme disease was almost impossible. I mean, at first, because I had no idea that Lyme disease specialist existed. So I was calling hospitals, doctors, neurologists, cardiologists, trying to find anybody who will test me for Lyme disease, and everybody was like, no, you have to go to a neurologist. But the problem with that is that if anybody has been to a specialist, it's at least a month wait, maybe more, to see a specialist. And I just didn't have the time because my symptoms kept getting progressively worse, too fast. I even ended up with joint pain. Like, 1 week I ended up with joint pain, which was the weirdest thing. So anyways, I finally came across the term Lyme literate medical doctor. I didn't even know these guys existed. So yeah, I find one finally who had an appointment. I didn't even care how far I had to drive. I was like, I'm gonna get tested. Like, it's gonna happen. And anyways, I end up in this doctor's office, and and I just tell him my whole story. I'm like, look, dude, like this, I've been having the craziest year. I mean, the year just started. It's February. It's 2 months into the year, and all this has happened. Everybody thinks I'm crazy, and all these doctors just keep telling me all my symptoms are because of MS, and and they just keep giving me drugs. I mean, like, thanks guys for the Xanax. Like, it's just literally every doctor I went to was like, oh, here's some Xanax. Like, is there anything else you want me to prescribe? Yeah, that's our healthcare system. Unfortunately, just give you drugs to make you shut up. From my experience, at least. So I tell him all my symptoms. I tell him my story. I tell him, like, okay, you know, I'm completely expecting this guy to be like, you know, you're crazy. Here's some more drugs. And by the end of that appointment, he's like, yeah, there's no doubt about it. You have Lyme disease. I'm like, oh my gosh. Like, you're kidding. Like, you're actually gonna listen to my story, you know? You don't want to see he didn't even bother seeing my medical history. Like, he didn't even care about the MS diagnosis. He was like, yeah, you have Lyme disease. Let's start treatment. Yeah, let's get you on supplements, vitamins today. You can start treatment tomorrow. You're gonna get better. I'm like, I was just completely shocked. Like, it's really that easy? Like, so, yeah, I mean, I felt like I won the lottery. I was extremely happy. Just, oh my gosh, you know, there was a possibility that I was gonna have my life back. that was the amazing part, that, you know, I didn't have to live a life full of pain and, you know, neurological symptoms, that there was something else going on, something that can be fixed. Uh, yeah, it was amazing. So once I started treatment, I got involved in the Lyme community, you know, Facebook groups, YouTube, and social media in general, also in my doctor's office. And surprise, surprise, I'm not the only one, which is amazing because I felt so alienated by, you know, conventional medicine for asking questions and wanting to know more. This happens a lot. I mean, there's so many people diagnosed with multiple sclerosis who wisen up later and figure out that they have Lyme disease. It is, it's insane. I mean, and then I found out the controversy of Lyme disease. I had no idea this was controversial. I had no idea of anything. I was just completely blind to it. It was only once I started treatment that I learned all this. So yeah, that's my story. I hope it helps somebody. Uh, Big lesson I learned is listen to your body, and you're an expert in your body. I mean, you know it the best. And if a doctor is just dismissing you and telling you that it's, I don't know, I guess if they dismiss you and keep telling you, oh, it's all in your head or it's all anxiety, you know, no, like that's crap. That is complete crap. I feel awful just thinking about all those people who are misdiagnosed out there with some autoimmune disease, you know, and this whole time it could be Lyme disease, and you know you can get better. I I'm 10 months into my treatment, and I'm definitely making a lot of progress. I mean, when I started treatment, I had weakness on the left side of my body, so I was like walking crooked for a while. I was having panic attacks, heat intolerance, just these awful multiple sclerosis symptoms. The MS hug, I had that. I don't have those anymore. It took a lot of work, a lot of patience, a lot of time, but my multiple sclerosis symptoms are slowly fading away. And yeah, my body's healing now, and you know, it's good to know that I don't have a disease that has no cure, or or I don't know. I guess it was awful being diagnosed with MS. I mean, I lived with that diagnosis for 1 month. It was awful. I mean, there's no hope. You can try to live a normal life and take all the drugs, and you know, hopefully you don't end up in a wheelchair or, you know, completely disabled within 5 to 10 years. It was awful. It was completely awful. Yeah. So that's my story, guys. Maybe I'll make an update later on my treatment and all that jazz. But all right, bye.